Hello everyone. Welcome to all of you on my YouTube channel Saurabh Goswami History Optional for UPSC. And here we are discussing history optional lectures for UPSC means examination from paper 2 section A, that is modern Indian history. And today we are going to discuss the theme, that is Dutch presence in India. And as you know, the plan of study, that here we are doing a holistic study of the history optional chapters themes, and in that sequence we have started with section A, modern Indian history, and here we have started with chapter 1, that is advent of Europeans in India or European penetration in India. And in that, the first subtopic that I have discussed in my previous lecture was Portuguese presence in India. We have discussed this topic in a holistic manner. The chapter introduction of advent of Europeans in India, this also we have discussed. 15th 16th century structural crisis in Europe, this also we have discussed. Now in the same series, now we are discussing lecture number 7, that is chapter number 1, and here the very first part of this subtopic, Dutch presence in India 1605 to 1759, will be discussed in today's class. But this is not a single video. In order to complete this subtopic, I have designed 4 different videos here. The first part of this video in the form of lecture number 7, today we are going to discuss. This is chapter introduction. It means that whenever we are reading any chapter, we must have a basic understanding about that theme, about that particular theme. So here today the basic understanding part will be covered, and in the next video, that is lecture number 8, I will discuss Dutch imperialism in India, rise and fall. It means we will discuss the important battles fought by the Dutch in India. For example, battle with Portuguese, battle with Britishers. We will also discuss important battle fought with the Indian native rulers. We will discuss that did the Dutch had any intention to establish empire in India. They were more interested in India or Indonesia. Why they were more interested in Indonesia? And the nature of Dutch imperialism, this we'll discuss in our next video. This concept, the nature of Dutch imperialism, will also be helpful for your world history topic. After this, there will be video number C, that is part C, and in that part we will discuss the same topic with the perspectives of different schools of historiography. And like we always do, in the D part of the video, we will discuss PYQ insights and answer writing tricks or techniques. So let's start with lecture number 7 and part A of this subtopic, Dutch presence in India. I am assuming this, that all of you have studied for GS. It means that if you are preparing for optional, this is a wise strategy that you must read general studies first, so you are familiar with some basic facts and informations. But here, while teaching optional, I have decided that I will also give you some insights that from optional part also we can gain a lot for our prelims. But this is not completely true. Prelims is a completely different thing, optional is a completely different thing, so better we should not mix each other. But wherever I will find some scope to guide you, some prelims tricks and traps that we can get from here, we'll discuss that. So the topic today is Dutch presence in India. Dutch presence in India. And on the thumbnail of this topic, what I have written here, the Dutch presence in India from 1605 to 1759. So this is very important. Why 1605 and why till 1759 AD? This we need to understand. But one basic thing here is that the Dutch presence in India was seen in which century? If we will generalize the information, this is what 17th century beginning of 17th century. Beginning of 17th century. And this 1759 is 18th century. 18th century, and this is second half of 18th century. Second half of 18th century. And a very remarkable fact here is that you all know that industrial revolution in Britain, the first phase of industrial revolution started from 1760s in Britain. Industrial revolution in the form of textile revolution. It means that in Britain, when industrial revolution started, or you can say that in India, when British established their British East India Company established their control over Bengal by conquering Battle of Palasi, Buxar, by signing Treaty of Allahabad in 1765 till what we see that during this was the same time period, beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Here what we see that Treaty of Allahabad was signed and British East India Company got complete control over Bengal. They got the right to collect land revenues, and this is the same time when Dutch chapter was over. So there is no any doubt that if Dutch were attracted towards India, so they are attracted by the economic prospects of India. They are guided by this idea that if we will do trade and commerce with India, with Asian countries via this Cape of Good Hope route, so we are going to maximize our trade benefits. So they are looking at the prospects or the benefits. And before this, what we see that there were Portuguese, and Portuguese were also getting enormous benefits in India. Okay. And this, for example, Portuguese did what? It was a kind of maritime expansion. So this you all know. So here the story is like this. But before we start, let's first I will give you a timeline that will help you to connect the events. For example, the first important fact that we have already discussed was 1498, and 1498 simply means what we talked here about the Vasco da Gama's arrival to India. You all know this. So this is the Portuguese arrival. 1498. This is Portuguese arrival. The next important fact and information in this series is 1605. 1605. It means what? Dutch presence in India started from 1605. One notable fact or information here is that the Dutch East India Company was formed in 1602, but the Dutch presence in India is from 1605. Always remember that Dutch presence in India is counted from 1605 onwards, and the Dutch company was formed in the year 1602. This is very much important, and it is important for prelims context also, because many a times in prelims examination you will find that many important informations are interchanged in a statement, and in that situation, in a hurry, because in exam there is a lot of pressure on you, so many a times we make some general mistakes, so we have to be alert while solving the questions. Now the third and most important thing is that, okay, what about English East India Company? So whenever you read English East India Company, so English East India Company presence in India is counted from 1608 also and 1613 also. So why these 2 years are mentioned? This is also a very important point, that we are also writing 1608 and we are also writing 1630. Okay, so what is the logic behind this? So we all have studied in our general studies that 1608 was the year when Captain William Hawkins arrived at Surat. So this 1608 marks the arrival of Captain William Hawkins. at Surat. And why Captain William Hawkins came to Surat? Obviously, Captain William Hawkins came here to meet the central authority, that is Mughal Emperor. And who was the Mughal Emperor at that time? So the Mughal Emperor was Jahangir. So he came here to meet Jahangir and to get the trade permissions and relaxations. Okay, he came here. But before this, what we see that 1608 is the year when Captain William Hawkins comes in Mughal court to meet Jahangir. And Dutch presence is counted from 1605. It means who is still in the dominant position when Captain William Hawkins reached here? Still, Portuguese were in the dominant position. You all know this, that the Portuguese were in the dominant position. So what will happen? Don't you think that the Portuguese will do some court politics? Portuguese will not like the William Hawkins presence in Mughal court. They will do some court politics. And what happened, that what Captain William Hawkins thought, that I will get the desired trade relaxations. He was not successful in getting that. Yes, he got some benefits. And finally, what we see, that the factory of East India Company could not be established. So when we say 1608, so 1608 marks the first arrival of British or the first contact of British. But what about 1613? Okay, so 1612-13, what you see, an important event took place. And whatever I am teaching you here, it will be important for your prelims examination, because in GS classes, these portions are generally skipped by the teachers. If you look at the notes, so you'll find that, generally these parts are skipped. UPSC is very unpredictable. After 2 or 3 years, what I have observed, that the trend changes. The nature of question that is asked by the UPSC is frequently changed. So if you think that if I will teach with the same content for 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, it means that that's not relevant teaching for UPSC. Okay, so now UPSC used to identify those areas which are not being covered in the classes, and they are important too. They have a conceptual base also, and in this way UPSC uses some tricks and traps, okay, in UPSC prelims examination. And what I am going to teach here is the same tricks and traps. What I am saying is that in 1612 a battle was fought. This battle may be important for your prelims examination. That is known as Battle of Swali. In 1612, Swali, you can also write it as Swali. Battle of Swali or Battle of Swali. This battle was fought near Surat. Now the second important thing, okay, who fought in this battle? Okay, so this battle was fought between English East India Company and Portuguese naval forces. It means in this battle, the parties are, on one side there is English East India Company, and the other side there are Portuguese naval forces. Look at the chronology of events. 1608, Captain William Hawkins reached in the court of Jahangir, and this is not liked by Portuguese. Portuguese are doing court politics. They don't like the English East India Company's presence in India. It means that somewhere in this battle there lies the conflict of economic interest. There is no any doubt. There lies the conflict of economic interests. Okay, and here the English East India Company defeated Portuguese Navy. It means the victorious power is English East India Company and the defeated force is Portuguese naval forces. And we all know that Portuguese power was established as a part of their maritime expansion. Portuguese always focused on maintaining the naval superiority. So this was a kind of a strength of the Portuguese. But when English will challenge this naval superiority, and the defeat of Portuguese in this battle has raised serious questions on strength and capabilities of Portuguese in India. It means that now Indian powers will start assuming this, that Portuguese are not that much powerful. It means another powerful European group has come to India, that is British. So if we will do what? If we will take help and support of British, if we will give some trade relaxations to British, in this situation, we can get some strategic advantages against our enemies. We all know that there was lack of political unity among the local rulers. So this was also one factor, that the Portuguese are defeated and British were victorious in 1612. And in this way, here the English East India Company had established its naval superiority over the Portuguese. And this is also one reason that now EIC officials will be successful in convincing Mughal authority. They will be successful in convincing Mughal authority to get the desired trade relaxations. And what was the result? The result was first English factory. The result was first English factory was set up at Surat, and the year was 1813. Sorry, the first 1613. The first English factory was set up in the Surat, and the year is 1613. So Swali near Surat, first factory was set up near Surat, in Surat, in the year 1613. That's why in the timeline when I have written this, so I have written 2 years here. One is what? 1608, and the second is 1613. So 1613 means what? The English East India Company set up its first factory at Surat by getting victory in the Battle of Swali or Suwali. Okay, and in this way they gain the favor of Jahangir. So the year 1612 and 1613 is very much important when we talk about the rivalries between these different groups. Why this is very much important? Because this victory in the Battle of Swali or Suwali in the year 1612, it marked the beginning of English naval superiority in India, and as a result, this will pave the way for the permanent commercial establishment of English East India Company at Surat, and in this way we see that the factory was established. So 1608 means what? First contact. 1630 means what? Factory establishment, or you can say that legal commercial recognition. That's why we are using these two words. Now after this, after English, there is one more power, and that is Danes. Okay, so Danes year here is 1620. Danes का year क्या है? That is 1620. Danes 1620. This is the year. Now Portuguese 1498, Dutch 1605, English 1608, 1613, Danes 1620, and finally the last entrants here were French. And when we write French here, so the year is 1664. This marks the year of French advent in India. So these are different European groups. Now, since we are talking about Dutch here, so let's discuss Dutch in details. Okay, so Dutch presence in India is counted from 1605. Dutch company was formed in the year 1602, and Dutch presence in India is counted from 1605. Why Dutch presence in India is counted from 1605. There is a reason. And what is the reason? Reason is that, okay, the Dutch established their first factory in 1605. And where they established their first factory? So the answer is Masulipatnam. So what Dutch did here? So Dutch established their first factory. Dutch established their first factory. And what is the location of this factory? So the answer is Masulipatnam. They established their first factory in Masulipatnam, and in this way the journey of Dutch started. When we say Masulipatnam, it's also called Machilipatnam. Masulipatnam, or you will also write it is called Machilipatnam, and this is located on Coromandel Coast. When we say Coromandel Coast, it means we are talking about present day Andhra Pradesh. And when Dutch established their first factory in Masulipatnam or Machilipatnam, at that time this area was controlled by Golconda Sultanate rulers. Golconda Sultanate rulers. Such kind of informations are asked in your prelims examination. Always remember, they may ask that when Dutch established their first factory in Masulipatnam, so Masulipatnam was controlled by, and now what they will do? In the statement, the correct information will be interchanged with a false information. Instead of Golconda, they will write Bijapur, and in this way the question will be difficult. Okay, so these are the core facts or informations where we will have to absorb with in a very careful manner if we want to find out that from where prelims questions are being asked. And not right now, but 25th March onwards, I will upload 10 videos for modern Indian history, that is from prelims point of view. Okay, it will be of 20 hours each, and there I will cover these minute details. The problem is not with the videos, but the problem is with editing and uploading. I don't have sufficient staffs, otherwise I would have uploaded hundreds of videos. Okay, so I will try to upload it after 25th March. Now look here, Golconda, you must remember this fact is very important. Now the general question arises that why Masulipatnam? Obviously there must be a choice now. If Dutch presence has been started in India, so definitely they will decide, if they are choosing Masulipatnam, so there must be some reasons behind this decision, that why Masulipatnam. So it is a very simple information, very basic information, that Dutch were not much interested in empire building in India. They are more interested in Spice Islands in Indonesia. We all know this. So here what we see, that Masulipatnam was a major textile exporting port. So if Dutch presence will be established in Masulipatnam, so they will get benefits or advantages from this cotton textile trade. And the cotton textile trade, cotton textiles that are being produced in this Coromandel Coast area were in high demand in Southeast Asia. And from Southeast Asia, from Indonesia, the British were getting, the Dutch were getting spices. They were more interested in the spice trade. So if they will get the most important demanding item, Coromandel Coast textiles, so they can do what? They can exchange with the spices from the Indonesia area, and that is why they were more interested in spice trade. And here the cotton textile has a link with high demands in Southeast Asia, so they will try to establish their base in Masulipatnam. This is the point. And if you look at the location, you will also find that it is also important for Indian Ocean trade network. So there are two reasons. One is what? Dutch were more interested in spices. Spices they are getting from Indonesia, Southeast Asia, and here the cotton textiles that are prepared, produced or manufactured in Coromandel Coast, they are high in demand. So if Dutch will establish their control on Masulipatnam, so this will be an important item of exchange for the spices, and they can further sell their spices to the European countries. So you can say that this is the cycle, and that's why Dutch decided that we will set up our first factory in Masulipatnam. And the second most obvious fact was that in Indian Ocean Trade Network, if you will look at the strategic location of Masulipatnam, you will find that this is a very favorable port. So for that reason also, this is very much important. Okay, so I hope that you have got the idea, the basic idea. Now, the second important information or fact that I am going to discuss with you again, that is very important, and that is since we are discussing Dutch company, in Portuguese chapter I have discussed that Portuguese company was Portuguese enterprise. Yes, later it became a company, okay, much later, and it failed also. But Dutch company was the first joint stock company. It means that Portuguese company was not a joint stock company. So Portuguese is out of race. Portuguese was JVC or not? So the answer is no. Dutch company. And the third most important company here is English East India Company. So this Dutch company was also JVC, joint venture company. English East India Company was also joint venture company. Dutch company was set up in the year 1602. This information is very much important to know, and that's why I am discussing with you. And the technical name of this Dutch company is VOC. And the pronunciation is very difficult. It is Verenigde Oostindische Campagnie, VOC. Okay, it was established in the year 1602. Now, the headquarter of this company was Amsterdam. So we see two headquarters of this company. One headquarter was Amsterdam, Netherlands, and the second headquarter of this company was, this point is very much important, the second headquarter of this company was in Indonesia, modern Jakarta. At that time the place name was Batavia. So the second headquarter of this company was in Batavia, the present day Jakarta. And I have already told you that Dutch were more interested in Spice Islands. Dutch were more interested in Indonesia. So just from the beginning, they are not having the intention to establish a territorial empire in India. They are more interested where? In Indonesia. And that's why this is the second headquarter. You can say second Asian headquarter is in Indonesia or Jakarta after the formation of the company. And the second important point, before the formation of company, okay, there were many small Dutch trading companies. Okay, there were so many hundreds of smaller Dutch trading companies. Okay, so this company VOC was formed by the merger of many small Dutch trading company. It means that this VOC was formed as a result of merger of many small Dutch trading companies. Now there is a question that if there were small Dutch trading companies, so what was the need for a large joint venture company, VOC? What was the reason? So the answer for this question was that previously there were many Dutch trading companies and sea voyages. For example, okay, if you make a film, so there is a budget, you produce the film, you invest money in that film, okay, and once the film is over, the project is over. In the same way, at that time, sea voyages, it means, for example, if there is sea voyage from a ship is, okay, a ship is on its trade route from Netherlands to India, okay, Amsterdam to India. So this one sea voyage will act as what? Okay, one project. It means that one company is formed for one sea voyage, and once one sea voyage is over, it means after this end of one sea voyage, what will happen? Profit and loss will be calculated and the parties will get their share, and in this way the small trading company was over. Now there will be the second sea voyage. Now again there will be a new project. So in this way the companies were operated, and the more accurate words for such kind of companies will be temporary voyage based companies. So previously there were hundreds of such trading companies, and all these companies were temporary voyages based companies. All these companies were temporary voyages based companies. Now, in the beginning of 17th century, the Dutch realized that if we want to counter, for example, if you want to do Asian trade, you will have to counter Portuguese, and the rivals British were also very much powerful or smart or intelligent in trade and commerce. So in order to give a tough competition to English East India Company, in order to give a tough competition to the Portuguese, we need to get rid of this temporary voyages based company. And as a result, what will happen? Okay, by merger of many such companies, this large joint venture company was formed in the year 1602. And here what will happen? In this large VOC company, this is not temporary. This large VOC company, is it temporary? No. Previously small trading companies were temporary, but this large joint venture company is not temporary. Its nature is what? It is permanent. The most important thing, it is not temporary, it is what? Permanent. Okay, the capital structure is what? Permanent. In what sense? So when we are saying permanent, it means we are talking about permanent capital structure of the company. So here that is what? Permanent. A permanent capital structure. You can purchase shares of this company. Okay, so shareholders can purchase shares of this company and they can get dividends on these shares. The second important thing, you can purchase shares of this company and you can also get the dividend. And the second important thing is that, for example, today also, if we purchase shares of a company and if we want to sell the shares, so you can easily do it. So here also the shares of these companies were transferable. So this is flexibility. Okay, if you have purchased the shares of the company and if you want to sell those shares, you have a option. The shares are freely transferable, and there was a stock exchange for this purpose also. First stock exchange in Amsterdam, and investors are buying shares. In this way, this VOC was the multinational corporation. Multinational, why I am writing multinational, I hope you have understood. Multinational means anyone can buy the share. They have the right to transfer this share, sell this share. And the first of its kind of modern corporation also. The first of its kind of modern corporation also. Okay. The company used to issue public shares like the companies do today. And if you will calculate the valuation of this company, okay, if we will talk in current terms, the amount, it will be equivalent to almost 1 trillion in modern terms. Okay, I am talking in modern terms. उस समय तो 1 trillion का value बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाएगा, but in modern terms. So this was the first permanent joint venture company, Dutch East India Company. Now, why English East India Company? English East India Company was formed in the year, again a very technical point, बता दे रहा हूं, प्रीलिम्स में काम आ जाएगा. ठीक है, देखो, English East India Company formed in the year 1600. Dutch company VOC was formed in the year 1602. But we are saying that Dutch company was the first company. There is a reason behind this. When English East India Company was formed in 1600, so English East India Company in its initial stages was, the nature was what? It was a temporary, it was a voyage based company. Like previous I have discussed with you, temporary नहीं लिखेंगे, but it was a voyage based company. It was a voyage based company. It means that different sea voyages are like different projects. Okay, the money was invested, and once the sea voyages ended, okay, the people will calculate their profit and loss. So in the year 1657, it means much later, after almost 57 years, this company became the JVC in real sense. So it took almost more than 50 years, okay, to be a JVC in its real sense. Okay, so I hope that you have got the point. When we say JVC, joint venture company, so the company will issue its shares. The company is not temporary in nature, it's permanent. Okay, investors' money will stay in the company. The company is not dissolved after each and every voyages. If you have purchased the shares, so you can also transfer your shares. Okay, the features of limited liability will be there in the company. The owners, the management, okay, there will be a separation of powers. There will be a board of directors. For example, in English East India Company also, you will see that there was a board of director. In Dutch VOC also there was a board of director. That was in Dutch company, it was famously called as board of 17. So there was separation of the ownership, there was separation of the management. Now the second most important thing is that these companies were supported by state charters. These companies were supported by what? State charters. And the second important thing, that these state charters used to give sovereign powers to these trading companies. These state charters used to give sovereign powers to these trading companies. Okay, इससे इनको क्या मिलता था? Sovereign powers भी मिल जाते थे. And when we say charter, so charter can give you what? Monopolistic rights. For example, in the case of English East India Company, the charters can give you the rights to wage wars. For example, if Dutch company is present in India, if English East India Company is present in India, and if they have got charters, so they can take the decision of wage wars with the local powers. They could sign treaties also. They could wage war. They could sign treaties. Even they have the right to mint their own coins. So these are the sovereign powers that they used to get by, okay, getting charters. Charter means royal order. This is the meaning of charter. I hope that you have got this. Now, just for a general information, one prelims question, model prelims question I am sharing with you. In details, कभी prelims में दूसरे channel पे हम इस पे बात करेंगे, but just this is just idea that how UPSC used simple traps. When the question is asked, it is open to all. सब ढोल पीटने लगते हैं कि ये तो हमने क्लास में एक बार joint venture बोला था, तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. The point here is that, for example, if we talk about a model of statement based question, if we take this model of a statement based question, and suppose here there are three statements given, and the first statement says that the English East India Company was the first permanent joint venture company in the world. This is the first statement. that it was the first joint venture company in the world. Second statement says that the Dutch East India Company had freely transferable shares from its inception. The Dutch company or Dutch East India Company, the Dutch EIC had freely transferable shares, from its inception. इसका मतलब कंपनी शेयर इशू करती थी, आप परचेस करो, आप उस शेयर को ट्रांसफर कर सकते हो. द थर्ड स्टेटमेंट इज both companies, it means Dutch and English East India Company, were granted monopoly charters by their respective governments. Here we are talking about English and Dutch company. Both companies were granted okay, monopoly charters by their respective governments, and you have to identify the correct statements. Now suppose here I am giving you, okay, 4 options. The first option is 1 and 2 only, 1 and 2 only. The second is 2 and 3 only. The third is 3 only, and the fourth is 1, 2 and 3 all. Now in this question, is there any fact? No, there is no any fact, but this question demands understanding of the concept. So UPSC used to frame such kind of questions. If they will ask simple question, they will ask very simple question. ठीक है, वो ये भी पूछ सकते हैं कि भाई बताओ रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट कब आया, 1773. 1 or 2 questions are like this. But if they will frame new questions, the new questions will be like this. I hope that you can get the answer. That the very first statement, English East India Company was not the first permanent JVC. Dutch company was the first permanent JVC. So this is incorrect. Dutch EIC had freely transferable shares. Yes, JVC है, तो from its inception ऐसा होगा. Both companies got monopolistic rights, okay, charters from their respective governments. Yes, this is also correct. So the answer will be 2 and 3. This is an optional class, but I am telling you that whenever we are reading optional, so we are reading concepts in a very detailed manner, and you should never go for shortcuts. Today I see that there are hundreds and thousands of students who are finding the way for shortcut preparation, that history optional in 90 days. ठीक है, so you will have a false impression कि आपकी तैयारी हो गई, लेकिन आपकी तैयारी कभी नहीं होती, तो आप भीड़ का ही हिस्सा बन के रह जाओगे. So whenever you are reading any topic, any theme, any module, prepare it in a holistic manner, and once you will read in totality, you will find the impact is much greater. Okay, revision will be easier for you, answer writing will be easier for you, interlinking different concepts with each other will be easier for you, multidisciplinary approach will be developed by itself. Okay, got it? So this things needs to be practiced. Okay, and this is my purpose in teaching, that whenever I teach, I do justice with my classes. Okay, so you should also logically think about your preparation, that what you are doing. Okay, who is guiding you, who is teaching you, what is the intellectual depth of the mentor. Each and everything matters in this preparation. Okay, so let's move ahead. In prelims classes we will discuss such kind of tricks and traps, but here right now we are discussing optional. Now it means that what I told you here is that English East India Company we will discuss later, but right now what we see, that VOC, it means Dutch East India Company. I am simply writing here VOC. It simply means what? Or Dutch East India Company. Dutch East India Company had also got state backing or support, or you can say that charter, monopolistic rights. it has got state banking, it has got state support, it had got charter or royal order, it had got monopolistic rights too. And what is the monopolistic rights that has been given to VOC, Dutch East India Company? That they are having the monopolistic rights. This company, this single company, will have the monopolistic rights to do trade and commerce to the east of Cape of Good Hope. East of Cape of Good Hope. This company, okay, has got the monopolistic rights to do trade and commerce to the east of Cape of Good Hope. And who was dominating east of Cape of Good Hope previously? Portuguese, their maritime presence, naval dominance. So obviously Portuguese will feel insecure. This Dutch VOC was also given the right to wage wars. It was also given the right to sign treaties. And when we say wage wars, so wage wars with whom? Wage wars with their either European counterparts or the native rulers. There may be this possibility. They could build forts. They could build forts. It means militarization. They can do militarization. They can maintain, it means a trading company can maintain army, it can maintain navy. Okay. It can administer territory. This right was also given. It means a trading company can also administer territories. A trading company can also mint coins. Looking at these rights, we can easily say that before these Europeans came to India, there was a peaceful trade. And there is no any doubt in saying that these different groups who came to India, in the name of promoting civilizing mission, they did what? They promoted the militarization of trade and commerce. Okay. These European counterparts, okay, became rivals of each other. They fought wars with each other. And this is, you can say that this is what? The negative impact of trends like imperialism and colonialism. It means by the name it is a trading company. It is VOC, it is Dutch East India Company, but in reality, this VOC is what? It is a state within a state. This VOC in reality is what? It is a state within a state. Is it true for English East India Company also? Yes, whatever we have written here is equally true for English East India Company also. Now, the second important thing, here it is a joint venture company, first joint venture company. Now, here what we see, that the government did not directly supervise or monitor the affairs or activities of VOC. The government did not directly supervise or monitor the affairs of VOC. It means they are having much freedom in maintaining their administrative affairs and tasks. What about the Portuguese company? Portuguese company में क्या था? There was greater interference from the government. They don't have freedom to do anything. Here there is a board of director in Dutch company, board of 17. Okay. So this is an important thing. Okay. There was a board of 17. Ownership separate. Directors, managers, the one who is administering the company separate. The government is not having undue interference. Okay, the government is also giving a kind of a state backing and support. So this is a very good example where the private capital gets combined with the sovereign powers, okay, and became the symbols of atrocities. So what we see here, that the private capital get combined with the sovereign power, and in long run they become what? Symbols of atrocities. Okay, they promoted the trends like imperialism, they promoted the trends like colonialism. Now, the second important point, the first factory was Masulipatnam or Machilipatnam, Masulipatnam, that I have already discussed with you. Year was what? 1605. The second important Dutch center in India was Pulicat in the year 1610, and this was the first major settlement and one of the most important settlement. First major and one of the most important. So in prelims, generally what is being done, that whenever statement based questions are asked, the people generally interchange these information. So this is a trick trap. You must remember that the first factory is in Masulipatnam, not in Pulicat. Pulicat is the first major factory, the first important factory. Okay, year is 1610 or 1609, कुछ ऐसा ही है. Pulicat में 1609. Okay, so this is the point. Now, Nagapattinam, Cochin, Chinsura in Bengal and Surat. You can write this: Nagapattinam, Cochin, Chinsura in Bengal, Surat. These are also important Dutch settlements. Prelims question is also asked from this area, so you must know this. And the Dutch interest is more in India or Indonesia. So Dutch are more interested in Indonesia. Okay, that is also known as Spice Islands. They are more interested in Indonesia, Malay Peninsula. It means that this is very clear that just from the beginning, Dutch are more interested in what? Are they more interested in making territorial annexations or empire? The answer is no. Their main interest is, the Dutch main interest is trade and commerce. They are not much interested in making territorial annexions or in developing territorial empires. So they are not much interested in that part. In trade and commerce, they are more interested in trade of what? I have told you that Coromandel Coast, they are getting what? Textiles. The second important commodity is spices. Textiles, exchange with spices. Okay, and from Malabar region, they were getting black pepper. Okay, so they are mainly interested in spices, and Coromandel Coast is important for them to get the textile. Okay, they were also getting salt bitters from Bengal. Okay, so by using textiles, they will do what? They will get spices from the Spice Islands. This is the point. But finally, what happened? Okay, the rival of Dutch will be British, and British, okay, are also known for their naval superiority, and British had the intention to build an empire in India. India was a classic colony for the Britishers. So if you will compare the naval superiority of Dutch and English, you will find that the English had a superior naval power. Battle of Soli, they already had defeated Portuguese. It means that it had already been established that their naval power is much superior than the Portuguese also. Okay, so Anglo-Dutch rivalry will take place. Okay, Portuguese-Dutch rivalry is not that much important, but Anglo-Dutch rivalry will take place, and there will be a decisive battle that will be fought in the year 1759, that is known as Battle of Bedara. And in this battle, the Dutch were defeated. Okay, but finally from 1824 onwards, okay, the Dutch completely withdrew themselves from India, and they said that we are now okay with the Malay Peninsula and Spice Islands. We will not be present in India. So in India, the English East India Company can do uninterrupted trade and commerce. Okay, so 1759 year, it means that practically 1759 the Dutch power is over. Now in second part of video, I will discuss with you important battles, conflicts with the European counterparts, with the local powers, important treaties that were signed. The Dutch were interested in Malay Peninsula and Indonesia. So which kind of imperialism, the nature of Dutch imperialism, this also we will discuss. Indonesia, how the Dutch were ruling, were they more cruel than the Britishers? These all concepts we will discuss in our next class. So today's class, yes, this is a class of history optional, okay, and all these basic informations are needed. You can say that compulsory for you to know. The second class, where I will discuss battles, treaties, that is also a class of history optional, but both these two classes are also important for your prelims. So if you are a history optional student, okay, so for prelims you must focus on these two lectures. So in next class we will discuss the lecture theme. The next class, the theme will be part B, Dutch imperialism in India, rise and fall, and here we will discuss all the battles, okay, treaties, and the nature of Dutch imperialism. So in this way, in this subtopic there will be 4 videos. So today, lecture number 7, okay, the first video, the introduction of the chapter is over. I hope that you have got all the necessary basic informations in this class. Thanks for watching the video, and let's see you in the next class.